not down to there. I want to bring Hurricane. I'm going to have a little sports get together there.
I mean, they used to have a day of that, with sports involved as well. And practically everybody, patients, unless they were very ill and couldn't get there, came down from Pool Park everywhere, didn't they?
Yeah.
And everybody had a smashing time.
Off the field was a bandstand day, you see. And it just case for about 12 or 14 of us there, you see. And the patient, we'd be playing while we were having whatever's going on field, took a order. Any like me, we'd be playing it.
It was in the 50s, you mustn't forget that the patients had their social activities, and one of them was that there was inter-hospital competitions, you know, football and netball and cricket.
There was inter-hospital holidays
Yeah, that's
as well. We used to go to Hull and places.
To the holiday camp in for a fortnight, Pensarn for a fortnight. And when my lads, the ones who worked in the laundry, went down, we used to go down and take them out on a Friday and take them out for a drink, which I enjoyed it very much.
120 patients for 1 week. And at the end of the week, that 120 came back to the hospital, and another 120 went down to the camp. It was all under canvas, and they'd never been under canvas before.
But anything that went on in the hospital, like you used to have the staff social, the flower show, because the kitchen was very involved. With the flower shows, the sports days, the kitchen was very heavily involved, and the patients bought because we did all the kitchen and that.
The New Year's Eve dance, the largest number we had in the hall, and you weren't allowed no more, was 750. And we had 751.
We had more than that.
And don't say that.
The queues outside waiting for spare tickets.
One dance before the fire officer came up, didn't he? And he insisted because of the number of exits we had to limit it, yes, and it was cut down. But there was one dance when we had 1,000 in there.
Oh.
Mind you, at that time we were lucky because the bar wasn't held in the hall.
No, not
we
bar
got it moved,
then.
we got it moved out eventually, didn't we?
Yeah.
You saying female what? Female seven?
No, female 5 it went
No,
to
five,
at one
yeah.
time, because the wards were being emptied as they were being decorated. We were able to use them and do it.
Yeah.
But when the bar was there, 750.
That's right,
Dr.
750
Roberts,
when you had the bar.
dig out to get to 750.
But you had a lot of the big bands of the day there, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's why we never had to advertise it. Yeah.
You know, as a teenager, it was the in thing, wasn't it? The big bands and the super evenings you used to have, and it was, of course, this was before I worked here, and getting tickets, well, they were like gold, weren't they? And you had to make sure you knew somebody would get tickets for you. We had many a good night here in the hospital, dances. Yes, some very good big bands and some very good evenings. Very sad really when they stopped, because it was, I mean, we had this here on our doorstep, whereas you'd had to go a long way to get there. Well, anything, no, not as good really. Really good evenings, entertaining. New Year's Eve particularly, the New Year's Eve dance, very good.
Always some kind of trouble, like, especially after dances and that. It was always somebody in trouble. With all the staff socials, and because it used to be a staff and a guest, and they were hard. They used to vet you really hard, you know, and there was the big balls after, you know, getting a ticket for that. That was really hard.
St Lawrence came there twice from it.
Ray McVeigh and the band.
Ray McVeigh.
Yeah. And a forgotten one.
Yeah.
The old Buckley old-time band.
Yeah.
No, the old-time.
No, they had an old time.
That's it, yeah. When the main band was having a rest,
Oh yeah,
they play at this end.
And then he finished, or he was still going years after, but he used to get Ray Irving from Wrexham.
Ray Irving from Wrexham.
you'd get a phone call on the ward, wouldn't you? A relative of yours who lived in Wrexham or Bangor or something said, "Can you get us a ticket for the dance?" And you go, "Well, yes. How many do you want?"
Ken McIntosh, Sid Lawrence, Mac Bilk, probably a lot of others that I can't remember.
There was a great deal of opportunity to play various sports in the Old North Wales Hospital. We were very successful football, rugby and various, even took up bowls.
There were about 3 or 4 people in the hospital who wanted to sort of start a rugby side off. Robin Williams and a few others, Arnold Ainsley, and they decided to try and get, with the help of some of the Rith inside and with the help of some outsiders, they decided to form a Wednesday team, not a Saturday competitive side, but a Wednesday side. And it took off from there very successfully.
Oh, matey, go on, come on the corner, matey.
A good friend of mine worked in the kitchen, Cliff Roberts, and I used to just go to the main hall and have a game of badminton, knock around there. And the sports officer at the time, Mr. Jack Roberts, used to just come along and watch us. And he and his staff, Mrs. Gabriel and Eleanor Jones, who was a very successful player of badminton who played for Wales at one stage, used to come along, and this is where it really started. And then we formed a badminton club, although there had been one there previously many years before. The badminton club took off. There was a chap called Mr. Ron Bell, Cliff Roberts and myself. We formed this club and we played in local league, and we represented the North Wales Hospital, because this is what we were called, and we represented the hospital in tournaments. We were quite successful on a couple of occasions, winning our division championship. But the main thing was that it was a social event as well, and we thankfully carried the good name of the hospital around with us wherever we went. So on a couple of occasions we actually did fundraising for equipment for the wards. There was an area that we provided money so that they could have equipment for one of the wards, the geriatric ward. Another side of it was that we did a sponsored badminton, 24-hour sponsored badminton thing, which is obviously a social side of it as well. It was enjoyable for us, but the main thing was that it was fundraising for good causes, and one of the causes that we had was that we were able to raise money that supplied an area, like a courtyard area for clients.
But soccer probably, as far as an activity goes back,
Oh yes.
many years, so that's before the turn of the century, we presume.
Well, the earliest we've got is 1905.
Yes.
The earliest football team, yeah.
And a fierce look of a group of gentlemen they look to.
Yes.
Football, I have played a lot for football for the hospital. Once they started the team, can't remember now when it was, but it was very late. I was 40 odd before we made a team here, you see. I played till I was nearly 45, like, so I didn't do too bad, really.
Well, actually, I was in the first team that was reformed in 1958, like. And the first game we ever played, a little denbigh was in goal. He's only 5 foot, 5'3", I think that's all he is. I was with him last night, actually. And we played Mostyn, who were a really good side, at Mostyn, and we beat them 3-0, and Bando saved the penalty.
In the mental team, so
Yeah.
yeah, Cookson, Granville, Edmund Daperin, Johnny Mallon.
The Welsh Hospitals Cup, we was fun and then Aberystwyth with, well, you know, with the football, you'd be with the football, like, you didn't go with the cricket, you didn't bother with cricket, yeah. But we said, it was such a fun. And we used it in the final a couple of times, you know, and it used to be in Aberystwyth, like, because it was the central place, like, so we had some fun in the pubs after this.
Yes, but one humorous incident occurred where Tom Lewis, the charge nurse, was making the arrangements for the final with a gentleman down in Swansea, and over the phone, and Tom decided that he agreed with the gentleman in Swansea that it would be done by the toss of the coin, and the gentleman in Swansea tossed the coin, and Tom said heads. And the gentleman in Swansea said, no, sorry, it's tails. You're going to have to come down to Swansea. And Tom accepted it.
I'm Popsy. Look inside your Popsy. No, you're over it. Turn if you want to. You come into him. Step inside.
From my school days until after I got married, I was a hockey player and enjoyed that very much. I was a good runner in the days when Pat Jones, she's now Pat Pearce, she was then, and Eris Morris, as she was in school, and Myra Williams. A few of us, we were good runners in the 100 yards and not in school. We were also hockey players. And I did think, yes, when there was a sports department here, I did enjoy that, yes. And Jack Roberts, I think, was the, I think he had a post sort of as a sports officer in the hospital. And he was very good in getting these sports days going, and we enjoyed the participation very much indeed, yes.